Hey everyone, I'm Flo and Duty's Behind the Camera, and we're all about simple food, simple faith. We are making a steamed egg with minced pork today. So we're starting with half a pound of ground pork. My mom used to chop this up by hand, so she would just buy pork and she would take her cleaver and she would chop it up until it was all minced, but you know, I can't be bothered with that. So we're starting with ground pork and we're gonna marinate it first. I'm gonna use just a pinch of salt, half a teaspoon of sugar. Sugar just balances out the flavors. You don't have to add the sugar if you don't want to. 2 teaspoons of soy sauce. 1 teaspoon of Shaoxing wine. Shaoxing wine is a cooking rice wine. And if you don't have Shaoxing wine, you can use a dry sherry, white wine. You know what, it's just a teaspoon. Omit it if you don't have it or don't want to use alcohol. This is, yeah, there's alcohol in it, obviously. But you find this in the grocery store, not in the liquor stores. Also adding a drizzle of sesame oil. And I'm going to add a teaspoon of cornstarch. And I think the cornstarch will help with the mouthfeel of the pork. And also a pinch of ground white pepper. And we're gonna stir this in one direction, as per Mom's instructions. Now, I've asked her once why we have to stir in one direction, and she said that if we don't, we'll undo everything, which I don't believe is true. I don't really know the whole answer, but I do know that as we stir, the pork starts to form little strands, and I think that's what we want here as it comes together. You know, this is one of those really simple recipes to make when you're strapped for time and you don't know what to get on the table for dinner. It's got meat, it's got eggs, it's creamy, you serve it with rice, maybe make a vegetable on the side, and that's dinner. Super simple. This is one of those recipes that is home style cooking. So you can find this recipe in my cookbook, Chinese Home Style. It's not a recipe that you can normally find in a restaurant. I think that's it. Okay, we're gonna put the pork in a bowl. I don't know if it's a bowl, plate, something that has a high rim that will fit into your steamer, your wok, or your electric pressure cooker, whichever way you're planning to cook this. Okay, next we're moving on to the egg custard. I have 6 eggs, and I'm gonna break them up into a measuring cup, and I'll show you why. The amount of egg to liquid is 1 to 1.5. However, normally I would use an eggshell to measure out the liquid, because then it doesn't matter what size your egg is, so long as you're using a half shell. So 3 half shells to each egg is the amount of liquid that you put in. But I've got 6 eggs here, and I can't be bothered with measuring all of that. So I've measured 6 eggs to 300 mils. 1.5 times 300 is 450. So I'm gonna add 450 mils of liquid. I am using chicken broth. You can use broth or you can use water. However, if you're going to use water, it has to be boiled water. And my understanding is because boiled water doesn't have as much oxygen in it, but I don't actually know all the science behind it. So my mom says it has to be boiled water. That's it, Mom said so. I should have broken up the egg before adding the liquid, but I was too excited about using my measuring tub. Well, that's okay. We don't want to whip it up or whisk it up because we don't want to incorporate too much air in there. So we just want to lightly beat the eggs anyways. Okay, then we're gonna pour our egg mixture right over top. You know, this was one of those dishes where we as kids used to fight for the last bits. So after everyone's done dinner, we would fight for the plate because it still had like little bits of egg and pork and sauce at the bottom, and we would just add a little scoop of rice, and then we would like mix it all up and have like one final perfect bite. It was awesome. I'm using some plastic wrap just to cover it so that while it's steaming, none of the water drips in. And so I have had experience where the water does kind of dribble into my dish, and I don't like that. So I will use plastic wrap, or you can use foil, or even better is if you have a silicone lid that you can put on top, but I don't have one that fits this particular container. Okay, I'm gonna bring my wok filled with water to a boil, have it on high heat for now. I have enough water in here that goes up to near the bottom of the trivet so that when the plate sits on top, it's not going to be touching the water, because we don't want the heat of the water to actually cook the bottom, but to use the steam to cook all of it uniformly. In real life, you can start the water going before you even like prepare the dish so that it's ready when you're ready to put the dish in to cook. Okay, once your water is boiling, we're going to turn the heat down to medium, maybe even medium-low, because we just kind of want it to not be violently boiling. We want it to be kind of simmering, maybe a little bit more than simmering. And then we're going to put this right on top of the trivet. And put the lid on, and we're going to cook this for about 15 to 20 minutes. I will check on it at 15. Right, it's been 15 minutes. Just going to see if it's done. All right, so the middle is just a little bit jiggly still, so I'm going to leave it in there for another 5 minutes. I'm going to make a little sauce to drizzle over the egg with 2 teaspoons of soy sauce, 1 teaspoon of sesame oil, and a pinch of ground white pepper. Just give this a stir. All right, so another 5 minutes has gone by, so that's a total of 20 minutes. And it might depend on your container as well and how hot you have the wok or the water steaming. So it's much more set now than it was. So I'm going to remove it now. Okay, removing the plastic wrap. Careful, because it's going to be hot on the inside too. Oh my goodness, it smells delicious. Oh, so many memories. Okay, we're going to drizzle in our sauce. I also chopped up some green onions. Just sprinkle some of those on top. Are you all ready for?
Yep. This is the taste. This is a dish that I think is very nostalgic for a lot of Chinese people, myself included. And I must say, here's a confession that I took this dish for granted when I was a kid. Sorry, Mom. Ooh, yeah, I like that sauce.
No, because it's cooling down on one side.
Yeah, gravity, folks, gravity. Simplistic meal. This plus rice and a veg. That's all you need, guys. Oh, eggs are so silky. Awesome flavors. Pork is, oh, marinated so good. Memories, flavors, easy and cheap. Make your own dinner at home, guys. Times are expensive, you know what I'm saying?
Awesome, thanks, dude. As Jude said, it's easy and simple, and it's going to save you money because it's so cheap to make at home. And again, you can't get this at the restaurant. Check the recipe out in my cookbook, Chinese Home Style.